Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
We're live.
We're live? Like this is happening now?
No, we're not going to do it again. We won't edit it in post. This is it.
Oh, man. I gotta keep my language clean.
I know. What are we going to do now?
That theme song is a lot to live up to. Having actually listened, we don't usually listen to it before we start recording, and hearing it now, I'm like, oh, man. If you're expecting big and bold and brassy, I think that's misleading.
I saw your face, like, backstage, right, as it's whole playing, and you just lit up, and I light up, too. That's just such a...
It's good. It's really good. But
yeah.
Like, they come to this, and it's just like, wacky 80s references. What's going on?
It's a little too
But we're
epic for
happy
us.
you're all here. Hello, Internet.
Yes.
It's so nice to see you.
Absolutely. All right, so this is something we're going to do. This will live on in a weird way. We thought when we were getting ready for Season 3 production of the Marvel Movie Minute, and we thought there's so much to talk about that we both love and not love about this movie. We thought, hey, you know what? We're going to do a little live show. We're also big fans of StreamYard because we love this format. So we thought, we'll start doing this.
Not a sponsor, but we would take their money.
Hey, StreamYard guys. We love you.
We love you.
Yes, of course. And so we thought, what we're going to do. This will be something fun we'll do on Sunday afternoons throughout the run of Season 3. And here's the other reason, because there's a ton of Marvel news to talk about.
Yes.
That we're dying to get out. So
the twofold thing. One, so we can keep up with what's going on with Marvel because news comes around so fast. And also, there are some people who, I don't know if you know this, Rob, but they don't have time to listen to a podcast about a movie that goes minute by minute. Isn't that weird?
Oh,
I know.
So, sad, but I understand.
But this then is for them. So if you don't have time to dedicate 2 hours plus in a week doing it, which I understand, life is weird. Then hopefully we can catch you up on what's going on here, and maybe you can even just jump in after this. Maybe if you like what you're seeing / hearing here, you can then go, all right, I'm just going to pick up at minute 6, and off we go.
What a great plan. I was trying to use the proper version. I didn't want to say scheme, because that would be...
Because that would involve us earning money on this, and we're not.
No, this is not a scheme. This is a plan.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyway.
You know what I love about... Oh, what? Here, do you hear is there something flying around? Is there...
Well, speaking of the show, so this is the first episode, so we're gonna see how it goes. But
it's gonna be rough, and we're gonna figure it out as we go.
we have a plan.
We do have a plan
for this too.
Of course.
Well, that noise signifies that. Okay, so we always want to talk about a little segment we're going to call Arena's Recap, which is the recap. The Season 3 just launched this past week. We've got minutes 1 through 5, which usually in a movie, we admit, it's mostly credits, it's opening titles, things like that. We had a great time talking about the Paramount, the history of the Paramount.
That was fun.
Mountain.
Yeah, we each had different information on that, so that was fun. We both ended up learning something that day.
Yes, this is true. And interesting, too, how it's been translated into the Paramount Plus network logo.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
another version.
At the time we recorded it, like that was still just CBS All Access. It didn't even we didn't even know that was coming at the time.
We did introduce one of our first characters, Irina the Cockatoo.
That's right.
You can listen about that. That's plays a role throughout this entire movie.
That's right.
The Boyd. I know some people said on comments that we said, "How did you guys not use the bird?"
Bird is the word.
Bird is the word. I don't even get it right. Like, why was that not the theme? Well, there's issues of trademarks and things, and
the short answer is 4 letters. RIAA, and they are very litigious when it comes to using music. So
it would have been fun. It would have changed the entire tone.
It would
of the show. So,
and I posted online. My favorite version of that, of course, is the one that Pee Wee Herman did in Back to the Beach. Which you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's worth a YouTube clip.
Nice. And then we talked about. Well, we had episode 3 is about the reactor.
Oh,
and
yes.
The
reactor.
So, I think...
Oh, what?
This may happen from time to time.
That's not a bird sound. What's the...
No, that's an alarm. So when we do the recap... Okay, I got to get that out of there. That's only
Sorry, Irina.
Fun.
Bye. Bye, birdie.
There's a reactor overload. We might have We might have a moment in recaps when we see what viewer feedback says.
Yeah.
So we might have to talk about, like, okay, so what happened? So an interesting conversation came up with our discussion, which, let me preface with a little disclaimer. Our discussions, we try to stay within the confines of the minute.
Yes.
Yes, we try to connect it all, but we try to stay within the emotion and the feelings of the minute. We got a little carried away.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit, a smidge. Just a little smidge.
I say, and as the show will go on, you'll see I have more points to make about my dislike about Iron Man 2. This is not the central thesis of my argument. It was just something that came up as we were discussing what's going on. And so, for those of you who haven't watched and haven't been following the chatter online, I have some issues with the fact that Tony Stark didn't invent the arc reactor. Howard Stark apparently invented the arc reactor. And that people, I gotta say, shout out to the fans, though. I mean, like, people who brought this up were very cordial about it. And not like, and they weren't really, well, actually me. Well, maybe one. You know who you are.
Yeah, it's
Andy.
okay. We can take it.
Yeah. But the I guess what it comes down to is that it doesn't necessarily contradict anything from Iron Man 1. Like, it was a retcon, but it's fine. It was a good retcon. But my central problem with it remains, which is I think it weakens Tony by not having him, if invented, the thing that is the most important thing in these two movies. I mean, like, the Iron Man suit only works because of the arc reactor. And so when you take away the arc reactor from that, I think it makes Tony a weaker character because he's just innovating. He's not inventing.
Right. And I think, well, no, and clearly, yes, Howard, you know, what I want to say, the canon of this is that Howard Stark invents the reactor.
Yeah.
We see, obviously, another version of that powering Stark headquarters in Iron Man 1. Obadiah, we know all the story, obviously, about that, that, yes, this is something that Tony understands. And then when he's in the cave, his big contribution to the continued evolution of this technology is to miniaturize it. And case in point, he makes one from scratch.
Right. Tony Stark made this in a cave. Yeah.
I mean,
I remember.
That's totally good. Yes. We got wrapped up in the idea that you're right. I mean, I think it does begin, especially this movie, because the arc that he plays, and arguably, as you will see as we discuss it over the course of the entire season, Tony is his own worst enemy, right? So this is part of that story. Yeah, we did get. I always pull out my little. You know, I have my little.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have your own little arc reactor,
right? And I power. See.
Oh, look at that.
That looks really. I have to say, like, it's like I'm tinkering. Like,
oh yeah, nice.
No, so anyway, we'd love, and again, we
call
appreciate
Matthew
everybody.
Libertique because you got some good lighting going on there.
We love. I know. We love. It was so cool to see everybody kind of like start talking about it and get us going and stuff for the first week.
The Steve Jobs was point somebody made on on Facebook was really good. I mean, it was an excellent point. I think actually we get into that later on.
Yes, we talk about that. I've mentioned it with him. We've talked about. You know, I mean, it gets into that idea that Apple, especially during the time of Steve Jobs, when he was gone and then when he came back, Apple's always been a refiner. They are the best at refining things that are out there and then making them either super simplified. I think the conversation we had online was the button, you know, taking the mouse, which they didn't invent the mouse, but making it, you know, paring it down to one button, simplifying it for mass adoption by consumers and people. Yes, it's all important. All important to the evolution of technology. We hear you. That was great.
Yeah.
It was well done. And then we talked about montaging in minute 4. And name reading. Montage. Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. So many names. So many names.
We did talk about... and then the submarine. I think... which this is a spoiler. We'll talk about Andy Nelson at the end of the show from the next reel.
Yeah.
Talked about, that there were some references to that. So that may have been an allusion to some different streams in the comics, which was kind of a cool, neat thing. A lot of Easter eggs. A lot of Easter eggs in the news we're going to talk about in terms of credits, which we'll get to in the next segment. And then finally, minute 5, what lights up and travels through a tube. We talk about chemicals and other elements that light up because we saw this beautiful
the most noble
effect.
of gases.
Oh, wonderful. So it was a great week. I mean, it was a good start. We got a little... It was a little bit of everything. Open it up. Talk about the Boyd. We start a little controversy.
That's right. We have a character die.
Yes!
A major character dies in the first 5 minutes?
Yes. Oh, we talk about this. I think the Saint.
That's right.
Let me just say something. Yeah, tune in. Definitely use your podcast catcher of choice. Mm-hmm. If you've missed the first week, please, if you can, try to catch up because I think you will enjoy it. Or just dive in tomorrow.
Yeah, new 6. Show. Yeah, exactly. Monday through Friday. And then we try to keep the shows pretty tight. Like they run 20 minutes normally, and then every once in a while we go way over. We have it's even a surprise to us when the episode gets double size. We sort of end the recording and go, "Oh, was that 40 minutes? Oh, okay, wow."
We don't know what's going on.
I think by the time Black Widow shows up, we have some long discussions in there.
Yeah, it got a little crazy.
To.
Yeah, totally. All right, so we've got. Well, now here's another new segment.
Okay.
I didn't know what to call this.
All right.
This may need a new name, but it's the Marvel Cinematic Newsiverse.
Wow. Welcome to MCN.
And which, though, tons of news. Okay, there was a couple of interesting articles over in the past week. I saw there was an article Geek Tyrant put together. Weird, kind of passive comments from both Gwyneth Paltrow and Guy Pearce about them possibly, would they be interested? Open-ended question. Would they be interested in returning to the MCU? And they both were yes. In fact, Gwyneth was like, her answer was kind of funny. Her answer was kind of like,
was yes, but
as long as it's not more than a day or two, sure.
Right.
All right.
And it has to have RDJ in it. Like, she does not want to, she just wants to just, Pepper,
Oh, Mom,
Morgan. It's Pepper, half-hour sitcom. And Disney Plus, call me.
It's Pepper?
It's Pepper, with exclamation point at the end. It's Pepper.
Jeez.
What happens when you take
no.
Iron Man's favorite girl Friday and drop her in the middle of Ohio, where she has to raise 2 orphans and an ailing farm? Find out on It's Pepper.
And then she starts a website that sells peculiar items, and then writes itself. All right. No. So anyway,
synergy.
I thought that was okay. That was kind of cool. People are talking about this stuff. Anything else other than the big story?
Well, a couple things. First of all, Chris Evans is not coming back, people. Just let it go. More rumors had circulated around that, he's coming back, he's going to make an appearance, he's going to be... And finally Kevin Feige had to be like, no, it's done. It's over. He's not coming back. And that is rare that you get Kevin Feige to actually weigh in on a rumor and shut something down. So that is not him playing coy. That is not him oh, surprise, he's actually going to be in the last episode of Falcon Winter Soldier. No, he is shutting it down. It is not happening. We need to just accept the Captain America story is finished for now because there's a new guy in the suit.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, we'll get to that. But so the other news story that came out that I actually read this morning is, Rob, do you know what the Parliament is?
The Parliament?
Yeah, in terms of Marvel.
No, I don't.
I didn't either until today. So back when we were talking about our Incredible Hulk, and also we're going to talk a little bit about it in too, the big thing that was controlling Marvel was the Marvel Creative Committee. So we talked about that. There was a group of powerful executives at the top who were dictating what's going on. People say that they're the reason that we only got 2 movies out of Favreau. Because they had a ironclad, grip on continuity and what goes in and out of movies and forcing things in and moving things around. That was disbanded when Kevin Feige took over and Marvel became its own independent entity. However, that still exists. It just has a new form and a new name, and it's called the Parliament. It turns out there's a group of 12 to 14 creative types who are basically running the Marvel continuity. So one of the lead writers, I think this was Geek Tyrant actually had this morning, one of the lead writers on Falcon Winter Soldier talked about the process, which we haven't heard before, which he would write a script and send it to the Parliament. And so then they would go, and then they come back with the notes. And once again, this is a very, very different organization. So this is not a negative thing of like, oh, studio oversight too. They're being. He was saying it's fantastic because he got the best notes of his life from this group. And like they would like point and never would make the same point twice. Like people would just add to their thing, and so you get like a memo sheet back saying this, make sure to add this, remove this, like that kind of thing. But then also, okay, these are contradictory notes, so we're gonna put like a thing saying these are contradictory notes. If someone said like I had a problem with this, oh I really liked that, they would have put both of them in. And he said, and it helped the script. So. But this is the first time anyone has ever publicly acknowledged that something like this exists. So the question is, who's on the Parliament?
Yeah, wait, who? Okay. That's the first question.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, my second question is that where do they meet?
Because apparently this happened. They meet twice a day. Because like they meet in the morning and then they meet at night too. I'm assuming they put it through Friday because you know who wants to work on the weekend. But they get together and like go over all of this stuff. I know. So Kevin Feige is not a part of the Parliament. He's the Prime Minister, I guess. So he runs the stuff too. And then there's a group of 12 to 14 people outside of that who are involved in that. I honestly don't know who they are because what we know of how this stuff works is the directors are. Work for hire. When they're gone, they're gone. Like the Russos are not involved in any Marvel stuff at all. Like they have moved on. You know, Favreau is in Star Wars now. Joss Whedon is in hiding. I mean, they have moved on to their own stuff. Like they're not part of the creative direction of the MCU. But apparently there are people who are, and I want to know who they are. Now, is it sort of like the MPAA where we're not allowed to know who the people are? Like they're hidden in secret. It's sort of like in the Avengers with the faces on the wall. Like there's Kevin Feige as the main guy. Everyone else is in shadow.
So my third question is this their full-time job? Like if they're meeting like twice a day, well then
right.
That's a job. Like,
yeah.
What else could you do?
Right.
Okay, that's crazy. Let me go back to my second point. I've always heard, I don't know where I heard this, maybe it's only my own imagination, was that there was some secret room in Marvel Studios that was like under lock and key, under, guarded premise 24/7. And on it was the entire mapping of everything on the walls where they would have, and this character connects here, and that's how this is going to move on. Because to be honest, creatively speaking, I don't see how else you could do what they've done for the last 10 years. I don't know how you could plant these little connections in these movies that don't pay off like until 2 to 3 movies later. How could you do that unless somebody or a group of people is figuring this out?
That must be the most powerful Dropbox in the world.
Right?
Like, because it has to be a shared document. Like it can't just be living in one place and then what they take pictures of it every day when something changes. I mean, like it has to be like a Google sheet, right?
Oh, there's no way. No, too dangerous. Totally too dangerous.
So there's an underground, handwritten memo courier system that runs through Hollywood. Just message for you, Mr. Feige.
They all had to move. They all live within a 10-mile square radius of the center. That's amazing. You could do someday. Somebody is going to do. I don't know when. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to do the ultimate documentary on how the MCU was woven.
Yeah, and not like
actual creative
corporate one, like Assembling the Universe, which is on Disney Plus right now.
Exactly. Right.
Actually, like warts and all about Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, well that's cool.
That's the news.
Very awesome.
So, do we want to talk at all about? I mean, our time is fairly limited, so we don't want to keep everybody too long. Do we want to talk about WandaVision at all? Because we're in that weird transition point where we're still wrapping up sort of the WandaVision news, and now we're transitioning into the brand new show.
Okay, I think we've mentioned this. Some of our WandaVision hangover. I know this has been talked about on Saturday Matinee. Yeah. Another great podcast for the Next Real family of podcasts that you should check out.
New episode of that drops tomorrow. I was hosting on that one, so that was a lot of fun. You'll hear zero Marvel news. but it's a really good show anyways.
Because it's not, we understand everyone's not, you're not watching this if you're not a Marvel person.
And exactly. And both of my co-hosts were not interested in Marvel news at all, so I didn't really talk about that. So that's what we're here to do now.
Very nice. No, I'm still, okay. I think I've mentioned this probably on another show, but here's the deal. It was amazing. I'm still blown away by the experience. That's an entire series I'm going to rewatch at some point when I have more time. It's not right now. Totally going to rewatch it. I'm still a little hurt by Pietro. I don't buy any of it. Even now, they're even still saying, "Oh no, here's the reason why we cast him." Blah blah blah. No, it's Pietro. It's Pietro from X-Men.
Yeah,
I'm convinced.
So I agree. I loved it. I'm glad it's the first thing out of the gate because I think. So we'll talk. Well, I mean, we're going to get specific about Falcon and Winter Soldier, but Falcon and Winter Soldier feels very traditional Marvel.
Yes.
And WandaVision was like nothing that they've ever done before, that really anybody's done before. Which I think it was good coming out of the gate like that. I mean, I thought it was a beautiful story. It was sad. It was funny. I think they got bit by their own release schedule. I think releasing weekly was great because everybody was talking about it for all that time, but at the same time, it led to conversations going out of control. And I even read a report that one of the people behind the scenes said, "Oh yes, we were monitoring the chatter and we started changing the show based on what people were saying." And I was like, "Oh no, Marvel, please don't ever do that. Don't ever change anything in your show based on people figuring stuff out. That means that they're paying attention and that they will feel good when it happens and they were proven right. Don't ever listen to the internet for editorial decisions."
Wait, what could they have done?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Something towards the. I mean, it has to be towards the end, obviously, because they were coming out. But
I really want to see this documentary we're talking about how the sausage is made,
right?
Because I want to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, but the two pieces that were interesting is that as they're talking about, Marvel is fairly tight-lipped when it comes to where ideas come from, what they decided to do. And so, like, Kevin Feige is really good at deflecting when someone says, "Oh, did you ever think about? Oh, lots of ideas were discussed, like whatever it is. Like, did you ever think about bringing, Magneto in? We had lots of ideas and we talked about them. Okay, so the science of deciphering the Marvel machine is what aren't they talking about? So it always is fascinating to me when they specifically no comment something. And the two things that raised my antenna were, when they talk about why did Darcy only appear for like 2 minutes in there? She hit the guy at the truck and then is gone. They're like, next question, please. Like they don't ever say like scheduling, COVID, like behind, they could easily have said any other stuff like, stuff just happened. Like we had almost so much time to fill. They just kind of went, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Go, okay.
Right.
Interesting. And the other thing is they said, so are we ever going to find out who the witness was that Jimmy was tracking inside of Westview? And they went, maybe. And so like, that's not a no. That's not like, it's just one of those things that happen. I mean, there is something there. I mean, like the engineer thing, they fully admit, they were like, nope, that just kind of blew up and we didn't intend for that. Like the showrunner, Jack Schaefer, she said, like, I wanted to, I had this idea of like, to pay homage to one of my best friends, who was one of Brilliant Persons, so I named the person after that, and then build up. They it was just, and the internet just went, oh, Reed Richards, Hank McCoy, like it went crazy, And they're like, no, that was never supposed to be a thing.
We're just talking. We were just making a story. Yeah. Why are you analyzing every word we say?
Right. It was never supposed to be a thing. Sorry.
Do you ever find? I think anyone who's creative does this. Finds that when people latch onto something. And they say, "Oh, you did this because of this," and sometimes people just go, "No, I didn't. I just did it because."
That's why when you get the big time, you go, "Yeah,
sure,
of course."
Okay.
I'm influenced by a lot of things.
Two things: the witness, is Pietro.
Okay.
The witness is Pietro.
Why not?
That's why he's got.
You mean Boner?
Yeah, Ralph Boner.
Ralph Boner. Yeah.
He's got his new identity is that he's an out of work actor. That's why he's got the weird headshot. Because why is he living the life in the broken down man cave? Why does he have the powers of Quicksilver? Give me a break. No. That's not a spell. That's he's the witness.
I think we'll find it was Agatha all along.
Son of a... Anyway. Okay, second thing, and this will tie directly then into our final conversation topic today. Darcy is interesting.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. There's obviously there's a reason why she bails, and the reason why isn't just because of what happens in the episode, it's that they reference it in the episode.
Right.
Where they have the conversation. It's like, oh, where's she at? Oh, yeah, she, said something about she doesn't like debriefings or for losers or whatever.
Yeah.
No. If there's not a meaning of why she disappears, you wouldn't even have had that line. Why would you have brought attention to that? But, by the way, there's a point of that in the next story we're going to talk about. What are we going to talk about next?
There it is.
Man.
It's my boys.
It's okay. So let's just go right to the thing. We're not going to, so many people have done point by point analysis of this first episode.
You can look for Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff.
Of course. But here's the deal. Did we know we were going to have a cameo by one of our main characters of season 3 of the Marvel Movie Minute?
I had no idea. Like, I knew that Don was sort of back, but then all of a sudden, hey, there's Rhodey.
He's right there. Yeah. What is he doing here?
Because I wish that scene had been longer, because of course he and Sam would have a lot to talk about, because they both lost someone extremely important to them, possibly their best friend, even though, obviously Sam and Bucky would probably have a thing about who was the best friend.
Well,
have a conversation about. But I mean, they both are in that place where, oh yeah, we're both in a world without these huge titans that were, that everybody had their attention on, and now it's left to us to pick up the pieces.
And I love,
both of them are in that same kind of position.
Well, and they're dealing with, and they started to touch on this, which I really enjoy about this series already. You can see is dealing with the realities of the world, right?
Yeah.
And the realities of both of them being African American men, right? In a society
really,
that we
sidekicks.
No,
that's how both the characters started out as, and now they're standing on their own.
Absolutely, and I really think that I am very much looking forward to the story that this tells, because this is not a spoiler. Everyone I think kind of figures this. I'm assuming that Sam gets the shield by the end of this show. I would hope that that's where this is leading to. And bringing Rhodey in is interesting because we know, okay, here's the deal. Here, I'll make the prediction, not the first one to make this prediction. Okay. We're going to see Rhodey again at the final episode of the season.
I would think so. I think it would be smart for them to use him as the voice of the government.
Yes.
As the sort of main line, the strict military kind of thing,
right,
as opposed to introducing someone brand new.
Absolutely. Do you kind of, there's a secret wish of mine that, okay, generally what I think is that what the government's trying to do is going to go bad, Lee, and I'm hoping that Sam and Rhodey are the ones who save the day.
Okay. And Bucky.
Oh, Bucky too.
I mean, Bucky. So this show is I've been looking forward to for a long time, because these are two of my favorite characters. I think Sam Wilson in the MCU is infinitely more interesting to me than he's in the comics. I have never been a Falcon fan in the comics. Obviously, if you could dig back, he had a fairly rough origin story. I mean, it was written by a bunch of white guys in the 70s, and he was kind of a street-talking, jive-talking stereotype. It was not great. They've done a lot with him since, but even now I find him kind of a stick in the mud. But from the moment we met Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, I have been in love with that character on your left. I mean, the idea that he was a wounded veteran helping other wounded veterans, that I'm that puts him in a place we've never seen a hero come from, where he's sort of going back into the field after having a traumatic experience and having to do this again. And then the same thing can be said of Bucky, a man who was not in control of his own mind, who is now having to deal with the guilt of things he had no control over. But what does that do to a person? So, and putting the two together, I think is a great thing. I'm still a little trepidatious because that first episode was not amazing.
The action sequence, it was
action
weird.
Was great. That was fine. And I love Torres. I'm like, please don't have Torres die and them having to avenge him. Make Torres your man in the chair.
Well, wait, I think he's great. Doesn't he become someone?
Possibly, but the MCU doesn't always follow the same rules as everything else.
It's true. It's true.
So I'm a little worried because he's positioned to be a really interesting character to have Sam have someone
right
in his corner, to be around. But then I'm a little worried that it's going to be like, avenge me, Sam.
Right? No, yeah.
And I love the Flag Smasher thing is interesting. That's a new take on that character. My daughter actually made an odd connection that I had never really considered before. I don't know if it was just because I'm super nerdy and in my own head when I'm watching these things, or if I just didn't pick up on the rhythms. But so we have Torres sneak into the Flag Smasher thing. He infiltrates that. He tries to fight them off, and then he goes up against somebody who I assumed was Batroc. Like when the person showed up and was doing all this stuff, I'm like, oh, Batroc is part of this. Okay. I mean, he escaped the helicopter, so he's out there somewhere. But because the person then kicks him into a wall, like 20 feet, and then like body slams him onto the ground and punches him in the face. And then at the end of the episode, they introduce the new Captain America, and she's like, oh, that same guy. I was like, I never put the two things together.
Well, now, okay. So there is wow.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a conspiracy going on. There's a lot.
Right.
Like the fact that two of the characters in the title sequence, like, first of all, never met, but also two actors who were in the top roster weren't in the episode. I'm like, okay, we have a lot of story to get to.
Well, okay.
Circling back around. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But my main issue is I don't mind seeing people in normal life. Like, I don't like when seeing Bucky in therapy. Great. Yeah. Give me a half hour of that. Like, I'm fine with it. Like, interesting. But
because it's important to the story.
Yes.
It's integral to his story.
Right. But seeing characters go to get a bank loan?
Well,
that whole thing just rang false because I'm like, oh God, we're going to spend so much time on this.
No, okay, but they didn't. No, you know what I liked about that is?
Well, yet. But of the first, 45-minute episode, there's a good 20 minutes, which is just like family drama stuff. And I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, this isn't why I want to watch an MCU thing, is to watch people deal with the bank.
I think it is important because it lays a foundation for Sam's character. There is a thing being laid, and I think it's actually great. I mean, the thing I loved about it was that it shows that these people, these heroes, right? Even in that world, you think of all the unsung heroes in our world today that have to deal with garbage like that when they're putting their lives on the line. I actually did like that. I also love the fact that there is a deeper thread here. Again, like we said, with Rhodey and Sam, and I totally want to see where that goes. I just think it's really to show his frustrations. You're almost seeing some of his frustrations that Cap had with what he believes is what he believes is the higher calling and the bureaucracy of the world around him.
True.
Similar hero journey. So
I always get nervous when they introduce family members out of nowhere, like we've never heard of or anything, because I'm like, okay, either you're going to be a storyline that's just like, oh, this is him in the regular world. Okay, great. Like,
Hawkeye.
We have
with Hawkeye.
The rest of cinema to deal with the regular stuff.
Right.
Like this, superheroes are just this. But or you're a future hostage. Now I know Marvel's been doing this for a while, so that they are. But if Zemo comes to Louisiana, I'm going to roll my eyes so hard.
You're right. You're not wrong on that.
I'm saying this is episode 1, so I'm keeping my mind open. I haven't stopped watching or anything too, but it makes me nervous.
So two things I just want to add on this.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was really interesting because we had just watched the beginnings of Winter Soldier, the Captain America movie.
Yeah.
The character is the same character. The guy who was at the beginning of Winter Soldier, the guy who's on the plane, who's trying to escape with the prisoner, the whole opening action sequence. It's the same character. So the character
the one who Sam is coming to rescue?
No, the one who's got him to take him. Did you catch that?
Batroc.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Batroc. That's who Cap fights on the boat. Yeah, that's Batroc. He's an actual comic book character. That's Batroc.
No.
That's Batroc the Leaper.
Okay,
the French dude, the French guy.
But wait, did I misunderstand this? In Winter Soldier the movie, isn't he? How did he get there? Wasn't that all part of the Shield?
He's a mercenary. So Batroc is a mercenary. He was hired by Hydra to to attack the boat, basically as cover, so that Sitwell could get in and steal. If I'm remembering, I haven't watched that this year. I usually watch it at least once a year. So he's a French mercenary. In the comics, he is an incredibly big French stereotype. He has a long, funny mustache. He's the leaper, so he has strong legs, so he jumps around a lot. And
they didn't do that.
So. Yeah. Well, he did kick a bunch of people, so he's a kicker. Yeah, watch out for Batroc. He's a kicker.
So the one other thing I just want to mention, too, about the show is the opposite of WandaVision, sort of. All the Easter eggs, for the most part, in this show are in the credits.
Yeah, it was pretty linear, pretty straightforward in terms of just catching you up on.
The story is totally point A to point B to point C, right? Like, there's nothing crazy. So the one thing I just want to point out again, you can watch, there's a ton of videos out there, but I did see this one that people have noted. This sort of, it's the power broker is watching, which there's that theory, right, from the comics. The power broker is the one who might be providing the serum, or is that the story? No,
it could be. I'd say there's. I say that I'm starting to get nervous that the first episode was just establishing where the guys are, because there's so much more. There's Flag Smasher, there's Power Broker, there's Zemo, there's Agent 13. I mean, all this stuff. There's Madripoor. All this stuff is still to come, and we haven't gotten anywhere close to it. So I was like, man, these episodes are either going to be packed, or they're just going to be like, Episode 5 is just dumping everything into it.
Well, did you love
stirring it around?
Well, I love already, like, because we're so hyped from 8 weeks of WandaVision of trying to make everything have meaning. Yeah.
It's a different show. Like, you don't have to be looking for 1,000 Easter eggs in this.
The one thing that I did,
another military. This is an espionage thriller.
Right. But this, what got me interested in this is that this looks like some sort of serum.
Yeah.
And I did see this.
That dude was so strong, or woman. I actually don't know. It's long hair, but
it's not clear, right? It's not clear yet. But one, that this would explain the people that we see the encounter with. It might explain we haven't yet seen, and maybe your daughter's right. Maybe the new Captain America has some of this. All I got to say is, I got one word for you: Thunderbolt.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe maybe they're gonna try and do Marvel's version of Suicide Squad. Maybe do that version of Thunderbolts. Maybe Thunderbolts has been a couple of different. Do I need to deep dive on Thunderbolts?
No, we'll save it. We're running long. We're saving. Anyway, it's okay. We're totally excited. I can't wait to see where the show goes.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I mean, I'd say we just have to just readjust your thinking, because it's a different show telling a different story than WandaVision was. So
and it needs to
recalibrate, because it came so fast.
No, that's awesome. All right, we're gonna look ahead to the week ahead again. Once again, if you're gonna get caught up, please do. You can. Nice thing about podcasts, you can start anytime. It's okay,
right?
But if you want to dive into minute 6 tomorrow, we have a guest host.
That's right, we do. Our first guest is taking over, and it's the former host of the Marvel Movie Minute. It's Mr. Andy Nelson. Look at him.
Wow, I mean that's a. I don't have a photo like that.
I don't even know what he's looking at. What is over there?
We need to have a photo. I need to have a photo like that.
I know, right?
I won't look as handsome as Andy does.
I know, just brooding and awesome. I mean, it should be in the back of the newest mystery thriller from Andy Nelson. Right? Isn't that
it's Season Search or something.
The body was dismembered, just above his head. Jeez. From the Twisted Mind.
Oh, man.
Right, he'll be spending some time with us, schooling us on how to do this thing, as he hosted this very show for an entire movie.
One of the masters.
That's right.
We are the apprentices. Or apprenti. Right. How would you say? I don't know anything else. Anyway, that's all we got for this week. So thanks for tuning in. That's it. Boom, we're done.
No, but we don't tease you. We want you to discover things for yourself. But we'll actually get to spend some time with Tony.
Yes.
In 6 through 11, so we can talk about that. And I don't want to give anything away. So
no, we don't. No.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Marvel Movie Minute live Sundays at noon. If there's programming notes, we'll let you know. But tune in. This will be a great little time for us to talk about what's happening.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for everybody.
Enough said.
Bye.